Hi everyone, welcome back to my knitting podcast. My name is Sophie, I'm a knitter from Germany and I like to share about my makes here on this podcast. I do these pretty regularly. I don't have a tight schedule, but every couple of weeks I update you on what I've been making. Today I want to show you a lot of fun projects of mine and also tell you what I'm going to be bringing on my summer vacation with me. I thought about what projects would be best to take on the train with me, as I am traveling by train the whole time and don't have a big suitcase available. That's kind of what's on my agenda today. I have two fun finished objects to show you. One is a sweater project that's laying on my lap right now, and one is a baby knit. I always try to sprinkle in some baby knits into my knitting, so I will show you two of those as well. The rest is adult knitting today, and I also want to talk about one sewing project I did last week at the end of this. Let's get right into it. First, I want to give you some info about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the holiday slipover by Petite Knit. I knit it a long time ago with Lana Grossa Brigitte number 2 wool, I think, held together with Lana Grossa's like mohair. I'm not sure about the details anymore. It's a really quick knit with 10mm needles. So if you ever need something that's really quick and a good like layering piece, then I would really recommend you check out the holiday slipover. But enough about that. I want to get right into my finished object of the month, I would say. If you have watched my podcast before, then you probably already saw this one. I started to knit on this, I think, in like early summer. I'm not sure when, but a couple of months ago, after I finished my porcelain sweater, I casted on this project that I'm about to show you. And it is the Harlow V-neck sweater, or Harlow sweater V-neck, I think it's called, by the designer Kadri. It is a V-neck sweater with a drop shoulder construction and a split hem at the bottom. I also really enjoyed the small details about this, mostly this I-cord shoulder seam that is in the pattern as well, and also just the V-neck in general. This was my first V-neck construction. I normally do more of a crew neck sweater, but decided that a V-neck was missing in my wardrobe. I didn't even have one that I bought in the store, so this was a really great addition to my closet, and I have worn it a lot in the last week since I finished it. I have written down like the stats about this project, so I will look down here to kind of read it to you. I knit up the size extra small. My bust circumference is 85, if that's kind of helpful to you, and I knit the size extra small. I tend to knit the smallest size or the size above that for my sweaters, depending on how much positive ease I want. This one still has a lot of positive ease, even though I chose the smallest size, as it's kind of a baggier construction. You use, or the needles that are called for are 3.5 and 4.5, and I got a pretty good gauge with those, I think. I used the Ulysse by Terra Natura, which is a wool that I really love and have used a lot of times. I have some left over, so I can show you a skein that I have not touched. Yeah, the color is Merlot, and it's 100% wool yarn. And I held this with the La Mana Premia. It's a silk mohair that is really, really soft. I hadn't knit with this before, but I'm a big fan of this mohair. I like how it wears and don't find it scratchy at all. So those two held together make for this beautiful like red, dark red, true like wine red color, I would say. I thought I would calculate how much the sweater cost me just as like a consideration point for anyone who wants to knit this in my size. For about 300 grams of the Ulysse and about 90 grams of the La Mana Premia, I spent about 110 euros on this sweater, which is okay for me. I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this, and I'm a big fan of both of the wools, both of the yarns. It was a pleasure to knit this. Plus I also bought the pattern, so that's another like 7 euros probably on top. I really enjoyed the pattern. I thought it was very easy to understand, at least for me. I think it's not a super beginner project, but if you kind of take time to read it through thoroughly, you can really understand it really well. I did a little bit of an experiment. I never, or very rarely, actually do tubular or like Italian cast-offs because I find them hard to do, and I don't have a lot of experience, so I wanted to kind of pressure myself into doing it this time to see if I can just practice and simply get better at it. And so I did the Italian cast off on the hem, on the split hem, and I don't know, it's 2x2 ribbing, so you have to do like one setup round to get it to 1x1, and then you do the like tubular cast off, I think. And I found it really hard to do, and I'm not sure if I like my result, and I'm not sure if I'm just not good at it yet, or if I just don't like the way it looks. I'm not sure. I think I'm just gonna keep like trying to do it, and maybe my cast off will get prettier while like in the progress of learning it. But I think it's kind of wonky and like uneven. Maybe my tension was like off. Definitely my tension was off because it was like the first time I did it on such a long like bind off. And honestly, this is like a regular cast off on the sleeves, and I don't think it looks that much worse, to be honest. Like, maybe that's just because I'm not good at it, but I tried. I'm working on myself, and I'm trying to like get better at it. That's just something I wanted to share. I kind of struggled with that. The rest of the sweater was really easy. Nothing I have never heard of before. I love it. I'm gonna get so much wear out of it. Really recommend the pattern as well. And I'm happy that I'm now done with it and can wear it and can bring it on vacation with me. The second finished object is a baby knit. I did a little experiment with the yarns, so, or not an experiment, but I did something different with the yarns. I knit this super adorable baby bear bonnet by Knitting for Olive. This is what it looks like. with strings. Sorry if I'm looking in my viewfinder. And yeah, this pattern is by Knitting for Olive. I know, or I read that the pattern calls for 1 strand of Knitting for Olive merino, and then 1 strand of Knitting for Olive mohair yarn. And I am not a fan of putting mohair or like anything that has like loose fibers on babies, honestly. I just think it gets in their eyes and like can irritate the skin. Sorry, so I was on the lookout for something else, and I discovered Knitting for Olive's compatible cashmere wool. And I have made a video talking about whether a baby needs a cashmere knit or not, because it is kind of more of a luxury yarn, in my opinion anyways. But I then calculated it, and the compatible cashmere is not that much more expensive than the mohair. So I decided to pair 1 strand of Knitting for Olive merino in the color bark with a strand of the Knitting for Olive compatible cashmere in brown bear, and I knit up this beautiful little bonnet. This one is in the size 1 month. And as I finished this one, I still had like half of the mohair and also half of the compatible cashmere left, so I decided to knit another one in the bigger size. You can't really tell the difference, I think, but this one is in the size 3 months. That way I have 2 of these to gift to friends now that fall and winter is coming up. As you can see, I made the I-cord on the bigger size a little bit shorter, because I think with really newborn babies it is great to not tie the straps around their chin, but kind of wrap it around their body once and then tie it in the back so that it doesn't like jiggle off. And then I calculated how much this cost, because I felt like the cashmere wool was like an extra like thing to do for baby knits, but the cashmere, compatible cashmere, 25 grams of it costs 12 euros, and the merino in bark costs 6.50. So that's under 20 euros for 2 skeins of yarn basically held together. And I got 2 bonnets out of it, like 2 baby bonnets, plus I have some extra, so each bonnet cost under $10 or under 10 euros to make, which is not a lot. And I have seen like cotton, like simple cotton bonnets that are mass produced at the store in Germany for much more than 10 euros. So I'm really happy that I did it, and I would recommend using the compatible cashmere in baby knits instead of a mohair, because it's the softest thing you've ever felt. It doesn't have loads of fluff while still being so cozy, and I also really like the color it gives. Bark is a lot lighter than the color brown bear, and that way it's kind of it has like this marled effect, which I love. Yeah, I like the pattern. I found it easy up until the point of the German short rows that are used to shape the nape of the neck. And if you look closely, something went wrong with the construction of the bigger one, because the German short rows are supposed to taper in the back, like with this bonnet, but on this one, I don't know what I did wrong, but they don't taper. So yeah, I think it's still fine for a baby to wear, but kind of interesting that I apparently did the short rows in a wrong way with the bigger size. Yeah, I love the little ears. I read or I heard in a podcast somewhere, I think, that casting off the ears in like a normal, like round way makes them a little bit rounder, and casting them off, as the pattern says, makes them a little bit pointier. So I just took all of the stitches in the end and went through the loop and then cast it off and like weaved in the ends to get a really, really round teddy bear ear. I'm definitely gonna knit this pattern again. It's such a cute thing to gift and give away. And yeah, 10 out of 10 for this baby knit. So next up, I want to show you the two projects, works in progress. I always struggle with that word, that I want to bring on vacation with me. Me and my boyfriend are gonna take a trip to the south of France on the Atlantic coast, and we will travel there by train. So I only have like a 40-liter backpack for all of my things for 2.5 weeks in France by the beach, and I really needed to compress my knitting. And since I'm someone that likes to have different works in progress on the go to kind of switch it out and not get bored of one of them, I had to think about what projects I can bring on the train, also like yarn wise, how much yarn can I bring, and I have now decided on bringing 2 projects with me because I just can't pack more. I would love to bring a 3rd one that I will show you afterwards, but I don't think that's going to be realistic. So I have, I'm sorry, I have the details of the patterns written down here, so I'll have to look down. I have casted on both of them because I just feel like bringing a casted on project is always better. That way I can just get going on the train and start there and not have to do any setup things. The first thing I want to bring is a camisole, fingering weight yarn camisole. I decided to make the pie camisole by Nabita Shure, and I want to use the recommended yarn, one of the recommended yarns, the Arwetta by Filcolana. I chose this color 235 for the project. It is just like an aubergine, like dark purple color that I think suits me really well. And I have casted on the front panel here. I sized up needles to 3.5 millimeter needles, and what I always have to do when knitting 1 row of knits and 1 row of purls is change needles depending on what I'm doing. So for the purling part I'm using 3 millimeter needles, and for the knitting part I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles to like to minimize like the rowing effect of that my knitting sadly has, and I can't get out of it. I'm trying to improve my tension on my purling, but yeah, I think in this fingering wool, weight wool, you really see it, and that's why I just opt to do this system to get a really nice and even yoke out of it in the end. It's a really cute camisole that has a lot of just stockinette knitting, and then some pretty wide ribbing at the neck and also at the shoulders. I'm sure you have seen it before. Hip Knit Hooray here on YouTube has knit 2 of those and is a big fan of the pattern, so I decided sorry so I decided to try it myself, and I'm really happy that I have now settled on bringing this on vacation, because I think the yarn is good to take with me as it's like pretty compact. I think you need 200 grams of this to make the size extra small, which is like 4 skeins of this Filcolana, and that is something I will fit into my backpack definitely. Also, I think it's a nice thing to just have one stockinette project, or mostly stockinette project, with you on vacation, just for like laying by the pool and like in situations where you don't really want to think about what you're doing. So that's my first work in progress. I started this last week, and I haven't touched it since, because I do want to have enough to do during vacation. Don't want to get too ahead of myself and then end up with no projects left on vacation. So that was my first work in progress for vacation. And the second one is a really winterly knit. And I also have cast it on. You can't see what it is from me holding up this ribbing, but it is the Moby Neck by Petite Knit, and it is a cowl, I think, cowl, cowl, for the winter time. I chose this really nice white wool to knit it in. So the pattern for this cowl, for this Moby Neck cowl, calls for a sport weight yarn held together with a fingerling weight yarn, and I still had some of my tin silk mohair from my porcelain sweater left from Sandnes Garn, almost 2 skeins to be exact, so definitely enough to make this cowl with. And then I showed you in my last video that I went to that shepherd's co-op in the south of Germany, Finkhof, and I got some like merino sock yarn from there, that is like really rusticy feeling, and I think that this really rustic sock yarn, that is a thicker sock yarn, so definitely leaning to be a sport weight yarn, paired with this mohair makes for a really warm cowl for the winter time. And I'm often on my bike, so I think it would be a great addition to my closet to just have something to put on top of like anything that I'm wearing, just to keep the wind away from my neck when I'm biking. The pattern is really beautiful, and I haven't really knit any like elaborate cables before, and I think during the long train rides on our vacation I will have time to get into doing those cables. I'm really excited. It calls for 200 grams of the sock yarn, and then I will just bring my 2 skeins, so like 50 grams of the mohair with me. That way I won't have that much wool with me, but still have a project that kind of takes a little bit more time than just a simple stockinette knit. and is a little bit more challenging to kind of switch out with the pie camisole. I did an Italian cast on, or a French cast on. I'll put it on the screen. Today I'm not, like, I don't know my words. I don't know my knitting vocabulary. I did this beautiful cast on method for the first time, if you believe it or not. Instead of a regular cast on, and it was so easy, and I'm really excited to do more projects where you have this beautiful round cast on. I'm kind of surprised that I've never done it before, but I don't think I have knit a pattern that called for it and ignored it, but I just simply haven't had a pattern where you had to do that. So I was really surprised on how quickly I got the hang of it and how beautiful it looks. Yeah, this is not much to show you, but it's also one of the projects that I cast on here at home to then bring on vacation with me. The Moby Neck by Petite Knit. And I'm knitting it in the smaller size. She has 2 sizes and I'm knitting the smaller one. And then I have one more baby knit to show you. This is my 3rd time of making this pattern. It is the Friday sweater baby. And this is the colors I'm knitting it this time around. I love this as a gift. I think it's a great pattern because it stretches so nicely. Like, babies can really grow into this. The last one I knit as a gift knit, I think I knit in a size 3 to 6 months, and the baby wore it pretty much from birth to being like 9 months old. So they got so much wear out of it. And that's why I am now making another little one. I am using stash yarn, leftover stash yarn for this. I am using Sunday by Sandnes Garn in this lilac color. I will list everything in my description box, and you can go check out Ravelry to find the actual name of this color. I think it's lilac or like dusty lilac, something like that. I used it to make the tights, the baby tights that I showed in my last podcast, and I had some left over, so I'm using that to make the Friday sweater baby. And then I am using another leftover skein of yarn that I had from my porcelain sweater. This is the Tin Pergint by Sandnes Garn as well, and it's like a similar fingering weight yarn to the Sunday. It's a little bit thicker than the Sunday, but when knitting the sweater you really can't really notice that there's a difference. So I'm kind of striping the sweater with the Tin Pergint from Sandnes Garn, and the main color is Sunday. I decided to make the white stripes, so like the contrasting stripes in the pattern, a 1 row repeat thicker than the pattern calls for, to just get a more even and like bigger striping pattern. And then what did I do? Oh yeah, I did. I thought I forgot something. I made the ribbing at the top a little bit taller. I think I added about 1 centimeter in height, and that's just because I think I wanted to switch it up and make the neck ribbing a little bit taller. That's just a looks thing, not a functional change that I made. Yeah, as well as the stripes. You can do the stripes however you want. I have made one without stripes entirely. Yeah, I have used different wools to make this. I'm really a big fan of this pattern. It's in broken rib, so it takes a little bit longer than if you would do it in a normal rib or like a stockinette, because you have to always switch between ribbing and stockinette. But I'm really excited, and this one is the I can't talk anymore. And this one is the third work in progress that I would love to take with me on vacation, but I know that I will finish it quite quickly because there's only the sleeves left to do and like the ribbing at the bottom, and then I would have to just carry this and the excess yarn around with me in my bag, and that's just not a good idea, I think. So I'll stick to the two other patterns. And what makes me really happy about both of these projects is that I can use up the yarn that I bought too much of for the porcelain sweater, because I'm always really annoyed when patterns call for too much yarn and then you have it lying around. I'm really bad at returning skeins of yarn, so I just hold on to them and think that I'm gonna use them for something, and most of the time they're just in my cupboard for so long. And I just finished doing the porcelain sweater this year, middle of this year, and I'm already working hard on using up the like extra skeins that I had from it, and am really happy with how the projects turned out with that excess yarn. So yeah, that's something that makes my knitter's heart happy, I guess, and also opens up new possibilities for new yarn to have in stash. Yeah. So now that we got all of the small projects on the way, or out of the way, I want to show you my next big project. I always like to have a couple of small projects just for on the go, and then I have one big project to do, mostly in team meetings at work. I'm a midwife, so we can knit during work and like discussions and meetings. And that was, or used to be, my Harlow sweater v-neck for the last couple of weeks. But now I need something new. So I cast it on today. I'm not sure how to say it. I casted on this beautiful thing, and you might not be able to tell what it is at all, but I'm going to tell you it is the Champagne Cardigan by Petite Knit. I was on the lookout for a really chunky cardigan pattern. For a couple of weeks, I was watching YouTube videos, I was deep diving on Ravelry, I was on Pinterest looking, and on Etsy, and was kind of searching for a pattern for a really chunky cardigan, kind of like a jacket even. And then I found some. I found one by Osetta, I found some by Petite Knit, and also found some by not so well known designers on Etsy. But I always was struggling with finding yarn to knit it with, because I'm not a pro at finding more like thicker, chunky yarn. I'm kind of used to knitting with fingering weight yarn or sport weight yarn held together with a mohair, and I was really struggling to find good, like more chunky yarn to knit. So then I gave up and I decided to just knit a normal, like not that chunky cardigan. And I have always wanted to knit the Champagne cardigan by Petite Knit. So I kind of put the chunky cardigan side quest to the side, and I'm now really happy that Ozetta is launching a thick chunky cardigan knit with let lopi wool very soon. So I think I'm gonna start that once it has been launched, because that's pretty much exactly what I was looking for. And I know that the let lopi wool is really good for being outside and is like a really warm rustic wool, and that's exactly what I wanted. Plus I really like the photos of the pattern that I have seen so far. However, I wanted to cast a big project on because I need something to work on while watching TV or being at those work meetings. They're mostly really happy work meetings. And that's the Champagne cardigan. And the Champagne cardigan calls for a double Sunday by Sandnesgarn held together with tin silk mohair by Sandnesgarn. However, I follow Knitting for Olive on Instagram, and I saw one of the swatch videos that they always do where they pair their merino wool with their mohair wool, and then kind of show you what different colorways you could get when pairing one merino with different mohairs. And I really fell in love with one combination that they showed, and that was the Knitting for Olive merino in blue tit, which is this color, held together with the mohair in the color Dusty Blue Whale. Blue tit is more of a true petrol, lighter, brighter blue, and Dusty Blue Whale is exactly that, a dusty bluish gray mohair. And together they make this color, which I really like and wanted to knit something out of. I really like the way this feels, the way it looks. I'm really looking forward to having a cardigan in this yarn, in this fabric, in this softness. Yeah, I'll keep you updated on how this Champagne cardigan knit goes in the future. And yeah, that was all of my works in progress and my finished objects for this podcast episode. I do not have any new acquisitions yarn wise, and I did sew another Sid tie dress that I gave to my mom, so I don't have it here with me, but we made a little video to show you. If you want to know more about the pattern from Sydney Graham, then make sure to watch my last podcast episode where I kind of went into detail on how I found it. I made another one so you could figure that I really liked it, and I made it in a really breezy striped linen fabric this time. Last time was like a Vichy one for my size. And I really enjoyed making it a second time around. Just wanted to share the finished result with you. I really don't have a lot to say about the progress or process of making the sit tie top, because I went into detail in the last video. I am really happy that my mom has been wearing it on vacation, on hot days where you just want to be covered up, but still really breezy and like in a breathable fabric. And I'm also really happy to see that it also fits her so well in a size 16, because I feel like that's what makes a pattern great, when like different body types can wear it and feel so good in it. And I have been wearing mine so much, and I know that my mom has really been wearing hers a lot during vacation or on vacation as well. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I made a second one, and I will probably make a third one, maybe next time with puffy sleeves as well. Yeah, so that's my sewing project of the month. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode with lots of whips and a couple of finished objects. I will be on vacation in the next couple of weeks, so probably will film some of that, and some of my knitting on the train for you. And then we will see each other probably in a couple of weeks when I'm back from vacation, and I will tell you about all of the progress I made in France. And yeah, I'm really happy that you watched this video. If you made it to the end, then thank you. Make sure to leave a like and maybe a comment if you want to share anything. I hope that you got somewhere with your knitting that you might have been doing while watching this, and I hope that you join me again for my next podcast episode here on this channel. Because I have really been enjoying sharing and slowly building a small community here. Thanks for watching, and see you very soon. Bye!